Welcome, tired cliches, annoying in laws, and man eating shapeshifters, to episode 468 of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 22nd of November 2022, aka the 59th anniversary of Doctor Who minus one day, and featuring Torchwood Something Borrowed, written by Phil Ford and starring John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness, Eve Miles as Gwen Cooper, Bern Gorman as Owen Harper, Naoko Mori as Toshiko Sato, and Gareth David-Lloyd as Yanto Jones. I am Bill Sylvia, the one in black, and I am happy not to have any lectures to prepare for tomorrow. With me are Randy Ronson McCulloch,
BBC America isn't showing any Doctor Who on Doctor Who Day. Shame.
and our stand-in technical director, Alex Fireheart.
He's hoping no issues.
Mad Matt Winchell is once again dealing with work issues and is unable to be here.
Mm-hmm.
How's everybody's week?
Great. I'm in the hospital again.
Uh,
I know it's almost non-news now. It's like a freaking revolving door or repeat offender at this point.
If you say again, does that mean you left since last podcast, or?
Yes, I was discharged from Meriter on Thursday. Spent the weekend at a Motel 6, just kind of chilling, and then was issued back into the hospital on Monday, having problems breathing because my lungs are full of fluid. So, yay me. Erin's going north to her family for Thanksgiving, so even if I'm out, it's going to be, Thanksgiving at Denny's or
Right.
Perkins or someplace like that.
It really feels at this point like either you're going to need to be somewhere with, around the clock medical availability, or they're not checking something when they discharge you, because there's always something else within 24 hours. And one time it was picking up your wheelchair. They can't check ahead of time for that, but there had to be, this can't be a new thing. Like that just happened after you were discharged.
No, I can't follow my diet when I'm not in the hospital.
Got you. So they just assume that you're eating a hospital diet forever.
Yeah, and I'm not, because I can't cook fresh.
Right.
So
you don't have a personal chef.
It's not even I don't have a personal chef. I mean, if I had a freaking kitchen, I could cook fresh. And that wouldn't hold it off forever,
right.
But I would go, several months without it, at the very least. But instead, I have to eat what I can get at the shelters, or what I can get buying, and none of it is low sodium, because there is nothing, you can't go to most restaurants and say, "Can I have a low sodium meal?" They look at you and they laugh.
Right.
You can do that with low fat. You can do that with gluten free, but low sodium, they just look at you like you're crazy.
I know certain things, and I think I've noticed this more in airports, because there's so few options that, like, sometimes they have to have things for people with allergies, that they'll have like a bland option, which is like no seasoning, low sodium and everything. But
yes, but low sodium is taking that to another step. You actually have to cook it low sodium, like bread usually has salt in the dough.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Right.
And you're always going to have some, but the whole idea is to minimize it.
And of course, places that, like, when you're cooking your own meat, it's easy to to not put any salt in it. But a restaurant knows that if they don't put salt in their meat, they're going to have people complaining that it doesn't taste good. So
Correct.
they'll load it up with sodium.
Yeah, because that's one of the, or of course they use monosodium glutamate to get
Right,
that.
which is another sodium.
Yep. And it's, and I can't avoid it when I'm out there. So, the 4 days I was at the hotel, I only ate twice. Neither time was very healthy, but I only ate twice in 4 days.
Ugh.
And I'm still, just getting loaded full of fluid. It's a bad position.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a dozen other issues too. Like I have sleep apnea. So I'm normally on what they call a CPAP machine when I try to sleep, right? Well, except I can't use those where I am because there's no plugs by the beds. And it's not worth it for the one night a week I'm in a hotel to keep it around in the van.
Gotcha.
And according to my doctors, my sleep apnea exacerbates my heart issues.
Makes sense.
So yeah, there's another reason. There's a million reasons for me not to be where I am, but I'm there because there's no place else to go. Kind of depressing.
Well, definitely hope Social Security or whoever is involved can sort something out that makes at least a little more sense than going in and out of the hospital every week. How's your week been, Alex?
Mainly just a lot of finally getting my sleeping habits back into something decent. I forget exactly when I properly managed it, but it was in like the last couple of days. I mean, I didn't get to bed until after midnight this morning, but prior to that, I'd gone a few days in a row actually getting to bed before midnight and waking up around 6 or 7 in the morning. And I was like, okay, this seems kind of doable. So I'm just trying to keep at it to keep that in check so it doesn't get completely out of whack again. Because it's generally nice not having to, especially like with Monday, I have a 10 a.m. start, so it was nice waking up like 3 hours before I had to leave for work, as opposed to wake up, get dressed, maybe if I have time to eat really quickly, and then go. And usually try to have soft drink to wake myself up, because I'm not really a coffee person. Yeah, pretty much that, and I'm not really gonna bother doing like a first impressions or anything on it, but I have been playing the new Pokemon games, and it's been interesting so far. As much as everyone on Twitter's going on about all these glitches and that, I've run into frame rate issues, but I have not had really any major like game breaking glitches yet.
A question for you then: did you install the day one patch?
I think it just installed already, because I didn't. I guess to be fair, I didn't. Even though it became available at midnight, so I was able to play it for like 15 hours prior to the US getting it. I didn't play it until after it was available in the US. and I probably had my like Switch on before then, so it had probably updated with whatever 1-day patch as well.
Well, I think it normally asks you when you load the game for something like that. But the reason I ask is because apparently it's pretty much you either have people who have a ton of graphical glitches or people who have almost none, and I'm not counting frame rate and memory leak are completely, they're not glitches, they're a different thing. But the one person I know who said that he never got a single graphical glitch, well, he literally only got one throughout an entire playthrough, specifically said he was playing without the day one patch installed, and that's the patch that lets you play online. Because originally, when they only launched it for reviewers, they online play was disabled, and I've been speculating that the day one patch did something to break the engine, but I haven't found any evidence to either confirm or refute that yet.
Yeah, like the most I've had is Pokemon getting stuck, like wild Pokemon getting stuck in environment stuff, and that's about it. Like I haven't had any like falling through the world stuff like some people have done, or the game crashing. All it has been the game will chug a bit when there's either, I don't know, too many things on the screen or certain cutscene transitions. There'll be a frame rate drop, but other than that, it's working fine. I mean, I'm also working on an OLED switch rather than a standard, so maybe there's a difference there. Like maybe
I'm
the
sure,
OLED
I'm sure you
can
probably
handle it
do
better.
have stronger. If it's not, well, I don't know. Is it just the LED that's different, or is it the actual hardware of the Switch that's different?
Well, it has more storage space as a base thing.
Does it have more like RAM, processor speed, any of that?
I mean, I'd assume so. I think the idea is that it's effectively like a Switch Pro. I think.
So if it has those things, then the memory leak will affect you less. The frame rate issues will affect you less.
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if like that's part of the reason. Whereas I feel like some of the people I've seen making complaints will say that they're playing it on like a day one Switch, or just generally a standard Switch. So that might be part of why. But I think I've also heard people who are playing it on a standard Switch who've had no issues. So it might just be one of those luck of the draw things.
Right. So I've spent all day, the past few days, responding to papers, grading, basically getting ready for a Thanksgiving break so my students don't need to bother me. So either tomorrow or Thursday, I'm going to download the new Pokemon games and play on my Switch Lite, and so I can have some impressions by next Tuesday. I'm still, part of me wants to just start with a Nuzlocke, but part of me wants, a specific roster, and you kind of can't do both unless I buy both games, which maybe I will. Maybe I'll do a Nuzlocke on Scarlet and a regular playthrough on Violet. I don't know. I need to decide soon if I'm gonna buy them though.
Yeah. I would say that if you buy both, I would do the like Nintendo Switch Online voucher thing that lets you get 2 games, because you'll technically save a bit of money.
Oh, that sounds good.
Because like both of them together in Australian money would have cost me like 140 something bucks, but the 2 for like the 2 games voucher thingy is less than that. So even if I didn't save a hell of a lot, I saved something.
Okay, so the person I saw saying it was $80 each must have been Canadian. I've been trying to figure out when he said, I've been trying to figure out which country he lives in, and no, he's not the U.S.
Come to think of it, it's like $79.95 now that I think about it here for both.
Oh yeah, so,
like
okay,
for
so
one,
maybe
and then
he's in
that
Australia.
for the other. So like
I wasn't
80,
sure if he was a Canadian with a fake Australian account, or if he was in Australia, or what.
Yeah, so it would have actually, I guess, if you round that up, 80 each, I probably saved about $30 by going with the voucher thing.
All right, on to tonight's show.
All right, on tonight's show, we've got birthdays, news, um, a little bit of geek talk, it looks like,
Yep.
and our episode summary, our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. So let's get into it, shall we?
Yep.
Our first birthday is on November 18th and is the birthday of Stephen Moffat. Of course, the showrunner from 2010 to 2017. He turned 61. Also on the same day was the birthday of Paul Jericho, who played the Castellan in 1983's Arc of Infinity. He turned 74. The 19th saw the birthday of Catherine Kelly, who played Miss Quill in Class. She turned 43. And on the same day, we saw the birthday of William Russell, who played Ian Chesterton way back in the first two seasons, 63, 64. He turned 98.
Bloody hell.
So, yeah, I know. We've got 2 years before he becomes a centennial.
Yep.
Or, you know.
And he appeared in Doctor Who last month.
Yes. And finally, the 21st saw the birthday of Malcolm Hulke, the writer from basically 69 The War Games through the first couple seasons of the Third Doctor. Would have been 98, but died in 1979 at 54.
Something about the combination of the fact that Miss Quill was supposed to be the older member of the cast, and that Class was almost a decade ago, makes me feel like 43 is really young.
She was in her 30s, and the rest of it was in their early 20s. So, on to news. Google Earth image has revealed the fact that as part of the set for the currently finishing filming 60th anniversary specials, apparently Bad Wolf Studios had a unit helipad. Now, we don't know from this what this is from. I checked Google Earth earlier today, and that image is still there.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you go to Google Earth, zoom in on England.
Zoom in on Wales.
Zoom in on England. Zoom in on Britain.
Okay.
Is what I was saying. Zoom in on Britain, then go to Wales. Zoom in on Cardiff, and just kind of northwest of Roath Dock, south of the Supa Jump, you can see Bad Wolf Studios, and you can see the unit helipad right there. See if I can get this to work.
Apparently the person who posted about it on Twitter then did like an animation of what it might look like if they're filming characters like coming in on at the ground level.
Well, yeah, there's a whole bunch of things you can actually do in Google Earth.
Gotcha.
I set it to a 3D view and was buzzing around it. And yeah, it's just, I mean, it's obvious just a set, but
right. And I'm sure the real set is going to have some sort of CG in post.
Oh yeah, I bet they had a green tarp or something around it for filming, just so they could.
Yep.
Actually, it looks like they still might have something, because if you look at the parking lot to the right of it, you can kind of see cars that are
covered in tarps.
Yeah, half there.
Ah, yeah.
So It looks like they might have covered up those cars for the filming and then just used it for an overlay.
Mm-hmm.
And other people were trying to look around to see if they could see any additional Doctor Who spoilers, but that seems to be the big one.
Hmm.
Is that a new unit logo, by the way? Because it seems to be a simplified version of the old one.
Could be. Hmm.
It does look simpler than the ones I'm finding when I look it up, for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's not a full globe. It's more of a... It's just kind of like
Yeah, the unit...
a sphere.
I mean...
Unless they're planning to put the actual globe in post, but that seems like, yeah, unnecessary.
Yeah. Because it used to be a globe with wings behind it, if I recall.
Yeah, so
that used to be on all...
wings...
That used to be on all their...
Oh, actually, even the wings are simpler. The wings I'm finding seem to have more segments, although I'm not sure if that's an official source. Let me see if I can find any more. Okay, yeah, I'm finding more versions of the same, or in fact, I'm finding a few different unit logos, but this one seems simpler than any of them, because this one doesn't have a full globe, like it doesn't have any continents on it, and the wings only have 2 segments and a fold, whereas usually the wings have at least 4 segments, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like they've modified the logo a bit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, every brand in the past 20 years has simplified their logos in that way, so that might just be kind of a statement about modernization.
Quite
And
true.
about of sacrificing meaning for the sake of aesthetic.
I mean, the original unit logo was just UNIT behind what looked to be a grid, a grill kind of thing.
And like...
And then you got to the Third Doctor era, and they added the wings. And then they modified it slightly for when units started showing up in New Who. And yeah, now they've changed it again.
Oh, I'm trying to see. There's one that looks a bit different from the others, and I'm trying to see when it was from.
I'm uncertain if the one that I just linked in the podcast chat was the 60th, but that's what I was trying to find.
Oh yeah, okay. So that's the one that I was. That's the one that I was finding, but originally the first version of it I found was on DeviantArt, so I had to make sure it wasn't fake.
Nope. Apparently that was used for the for Flux.
I'm trying to find when the one that I'm posting in chat now is from. Like that's the most different one, and the most elaborate.
Well, that one seems to be almost like a United Nations spin-off, because those 2 branches around is the UN logo. And
gotcha.
I know, the UN has asked production, the BBC and now Bad Wolf, to not affiliate unit with the UN anymore, which is why it went from United Nations Intelligence Task Force to Unified Intelligence Task.
So that might have been the early RTD era before the UN kind of pulled the plug on that.
That possibly could be, yes.
Because the other thing I noticed was there's technically 2 newer unit logos, because the one that I just linked as well, like there's a unit logo on the uniforms that those people that are holding the master have, and it's just a globe with like unit around the thing of it, which I don't remember noticing during Power of the Doctor, but yeah.
Yeah, that's closer to the original grill logo, but that's still been changed.
Hmm.
But yeah, the one in that image definitely looks like in the era when the Gmail logo is now just basically an M, and every other brand is simplifying their logos. That definitely seems like a 2022 rendition of a unit logo.
I don't think McDonald's could get their logo any simpler.
I mean, they went from Ronald McDonald to just a box with a face.
That's not what I mean. I meant
I know,
just
yeah.
the golden M.
Right. Although I think didn't McDonald's used to like spell out the name more often than they do now, and now they pretty much just always just do the M.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been doing like the M with the smiley face for like a couple decades
Oh yeah.
now.
Yep.
That just hit me as one of those that you can't make it any simpler.
Yeah, I think the closest it's got to simpler is maybe it used to be the golden arches maybe used to be slightly more detailed, and now it's just a flat color.
I mean, you'd have to make it what? The golden arch?
I mean, I did see an edit or something where it literally was one, but or it might have been like an April Fool's joke or something. But yeah.
Oh, I know. Sometimes something like a cartoon will do because they're like, we can't use the real McDonald's, but we'll use this golden arch that is super obviously a McDonald's parody.
Well, you know what Japan does, right?
What's that?
They turn the arch upside down.
Ah.
So instead of going to McDonald's, you're going to WickDonald's. Yeah.
Yeah. I've only seen Whack Donald's and like Rack Donald's and various other.
That's how they get away from copyright suits.
Although that makes me wonder: is the Australian nickname, or is it a nickname? Is Macca's just the nickname, or does it actually?
Yeah, it's a nickname. It's like
so
how
like,
you would say McD's.
Like, is Macca's trademarked? Could you just?
I mean, it probably is. And knowing McDonald's, it probably is. Because I think they refer to themselves as Macca's in the ads, I think.
I feel like we started with filming
we've tangents.
To be fair, we don't have much to cover this week.
Yeah, there's not much we can get from this other than that unit is probably going to be in the next season.
Yeah. And they've got a new logo.
Yep.
That's about it. And actually, they're probably in one of the anniversary specials.
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
Because they've apparently had this set up for a bit if it was been caught by the satellites.
Gotcha.
And I don't think they've fully started filming the next season yet. After all, they just announced, and this is a transition, the new companion that will be going with the Kurigatwa, and that is Millie Gibson. Was looking her up. She is most known for a long-term appearance on Coronation Street. Long-term being more than a season. And has a couple other roles, but looks like Doctor Who will be a good way for her to stand out. Hopefully she can do more than soap acting.
I mean, like, my initial reaction was just very, oh, another blonde woman from England. We're really breaking the mold here.
Oh, they already broke that mold when they got Martha
Hmm.
and Donna,
Hmm.
but then they went back to the mold with Amy.
I've been waiting patiently for you to say her character name so I could point out that that is also a parody restaurant name. But the conversation seems to have gone in another direction.
That she'll be playing Ruby Sunday.
Hmm. Which doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not really a restaurant parody because the Rolling Stones song came out before the restaurant.
Oh, what's the Rolling Stone song called?
Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday. Who could hang a name
Oh,
on you?
oh, so the restaurant is named after that?
Probably.
I would think so.
Oh, I had no idea.
I mean, I know even a video I watched about this announcement was immediately like, someone's gonna make a Ruby Tuesday joke
Yeah.
in this about her name somewhere.
But
Although
yeah,
you look at the pictures of her with Nakuti Gatwa, and I'm looking at Gatwa and going, oh yeah, that looks a lot better than what he was wearing. It's a lot more casual. And I mean, I don't want that as his doctor outfit, but his hair
Well, yeah. I mean,
and everything.
as I've also seen pointed out, like, photos we're getting are no indication of, like, character
Costume
outfits,
or-
yeah.
although, funny thing, I'm seeing things of him in different outfits while her outfit stays the same. So I'm wondering if that's her filming outfit. Or she just wears the same clothes very often. Because in the video that I shared in our chat earlier today, she's wearing that same outfit, but Shudigatwa is dressed differently. Unless it's the same thing with a coat. I'm opening up the video now to double check.
It could just be like the photos and that were just taken the same day the video was done.
Let me see. I'm trying to see his. Because yeah, it's okay. It's not a coat. It's a button-down shirt. Are they going to show his pants so I can see if it's the same pants? Come on, camera person, go lower.
I just watched a little bit of that video. Did you notice something? They went back to the Murray Gold theme.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I always notice stuff like that because it's
I mean, I
who's
guess
going
they
to be the
have it.
composer. Well, who's going to be the composer for the upcoming series and specials has been on my mind.
Right.
I mean, it's going to show whether Russell T is trying to make a new show or going for pure nostalgia factor. If he rehires Murray, then he's going for pure nostalgia factor.
Right.
Especially with a casting choice like this. Although, to be fair, apparently it both comes up in the video, and something else that apparently Shudigatwa was like, oh, as soon as you were done with your audition, I turned to Russell and said, that's the new companion. It's like, not saying that Shudi, like, absolutely had, like, final say or anything, but, like, he was clearly like, yes, she's
Right.
the
What
best
say
we've
he
had
had,
so
he put
far.
behind her.
Yeah.
And I could see Russell going, "Oh yes, I agree." Yeah. But yeah, it's I want to see what different they do with this companion, or if it's another Rose clone.
Although that is.
And what I mean by that, of course, is that Martha was basically just Rose with a PhD and a racial background. She didn't really have much other other to go in the personality department. If you
Hmm.
took out her character and put in Rose Tyler, in 90% of the stuff, it would have worked
Hmm.
for Series 3. When they gave Martha roles in Torchwood, of course, it was more of the doctor stuff, more of her
Right.
professional stuff.
Hmm.
And that got to show off the character more or
Yeah.
differentiate it more. But most of the companion roles was the same thing. Whereas Donna had some more specialty things that Donna did.
Yeah.
Like the scene, actually the one I think that had Martha and Donna in it, when they're and those two are arguing, are Martha the doctor arguing how to do this, and Donna just comes in and informs them what she found from just checking the records.
Hmm.
Excuse me, temp. Yeah,
Uh,
I am looking forward to seeing those two back in action.
hmm. Although the
But-
interesting point about that is that this means that the younger actress who was going to be in the stuff with Tennant is most likely not carrying over to Gartois.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't think she would.
Mhm.
I'm thinking she's just part of the 3-shot.
Yeah. So she's just there for Series 13C, and then Series 14 is a whole new cast.
Hmm.
Honestly, they should just call it Series 14 specials only, and then Gatwa should be Series 15.
Hmm.
Because
I'd be okay with that. Instead of 13A, 13B, and 13C.
because it is a completely different production
Right.
from the previous season.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the Rose clone thing, I think we can at least safely say that there's, and I don't think this is what you were saying at all, but I think we can safely say there's probably not going to be a Doctor Companion romance.
I hope not.
Probably not, but we never know.
They've hinged so much of the publicity on, the first gay Doctor, that if the first thing they do is have him have a romance with his female companion, it would be really weird.
Or they could go the Martha route where she has a crush on him and he's oblivious.
Mm-hmm. The Martha Clara route.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to see how it goes.
Right.
And we'll have to see what the new companion, what's going to make her stand out.
Hmm.
I mean, think of the great companions. They always had something to make them stand out. Zoe had
Right.
her sheer intellect.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Jane had her her investigative journalism snoopiness.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Nissa had her knowledge and experience.
Ace
Romana
had
had-
her Nitro 9.
Yeah, Ace had her fun with explosives. Romana had, the fact that she was a Time Lord graduate and was actually usually better educated than the Doctor, but not by much. She was more educated but less experienced.
Yeah.
Right.
So each one of those, stood out for a reason.
Hmm.
And that was what made Donna such a good character, is she had that, yes, I'm a temp thing,
Hmm.
that gave her a standout skill.
Hmm.
And that's not something we really saw from Moffat's companion. I mean, Amy really didn't have anything that special that made her pop.
Yeah.
Clara was supposed to be good with kids, but I don't think that ever had anything to do with anything she ever did on the TARDIS.
Yeah. I mean,
No.
Moffat's...
No, there was one episode where that came into place. And that was the one where the Forest tried to take over London.
Yeah.
Mm.
Moffat's thing was more continuing to a point the thing that RTD had done with Bad Wolf, Dr. Donna, but making that the only like standout unique thing about the companion. Like Amy Pond is the girl who waited, Clara is the impossible girl, and that's like it. Like Amy had a character, but she didn't have like a thing outside of being the girl who waited.
It's also like, in terms of skills, I know a big criticism, like looking at Moffat's characters, Bill gets a lot of criticism because her character she's working class and gay, and didn't really have anything really that stood out if you took those things away.
Well, and Chibnall had the hook, but never bid on it. Meet Yaz. She's a cop.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And when did that ever actually make a difference? The entire 3 and bonus series we had her. I think it might have made a difference once.
Yeah.
It just never came up.
Right.
Right.
And it should have been, she should have been the one that would always be the voice of authority in a crisis, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it just never happened.
Yeah.
Which it's also interesting too, because and I don't think I ever brought this up on a podcast, but this was a thought that I had, like looking at behind the scenes interviews. She has so much more of a lively personality of the actress than the character did. And I was like, if they let her show some of that, like I feel, it had to have been direction or the producer, probably, something that Chibnall said, or how he wanted the show to run. But if more of Mandip Gill's personality was allowed to shine through, the character would not be as criticized as she ended up being.
Yeah, and if they'd allowed her to, use her cop skills in there, if the writers had taken that note and, written a script where, oh, God, they're in crisis, people are panicking, Yaz steps in and, calms people down using the voice of authority, she would be a bookmark character.
Yeah.
She would go down right next to Sarah Jane and Zoe.
Right.
And all the greats. But they just never let that happen.
Yeah. It's also another side effect of there being 3 companions to a point.
Not really, because in 3 companion situations before, you had characters that could stand out. Susan,
Tegan was never drowned out.
Yeah, no, Tegan could. No. In fact, Nyssa would become almost mousy next to Tegan's loudmouth. Jeez. And poor Adric was just sitting here going, oh my God.
Or I guess I mean like 3 companions in the modern era when there's less time and all that. But yeah, it is just sort of like I would generally just hope that, and I mean, I guess we don't really know much about the character yet, so there might even be a chance that she's not actually from modern day England, which would be a nice change, because that's getting fucking old. And like Nardole is the only companion we've had aside from Jack that's like from a human from modern day Earth. So it's like,
yeah, well, that's because the companion is usually the viewer vehicle.
I mean, Jamie is one of the most like popular companions and easily the most popular male companion, and he's from he's a Highlander, so it works. They just have to put the effort in.
Of course, Jamie spent half the episodes he was in saying, "What's that, Doctor? What's that contraption?
Oh, what's that beastie coming towards us, Doctor?" Yeah.
I mean, I know I've seen plenty of people, and I kind of agree with it, that it would have been better if, like, I'm forgetting the term, but like what Clara was in the Snowman, I think. if that Clara had followed through, it probably would have been more interesting. Governess,
The Victorian one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been more interesting, but we're obsessed with modern day, which, as I feel like has been brought up as, like, a cost-saving thing, most likely, because then they don't have to worry about period stuff as much, but...
Well, it's not just that. It's not just that. It's that you pick up somebody, period, they also have to spend time making sure the character is constantly talking, period. Can you imagine?
They didn't have that much trouble with Vicky. Not Vicky, Victoria.
Yes, but mind you,
she never went to modern
can't
day
relate
England,
that to
though.
modern. Can't relate that to modern day TV because old school BBC, everybody talked and received pronunciation.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So now imagine a modern show and have a character that does nothing but talk and receive pronunciation.
I mean, now it'd be more of a gimmick. So.
It would be, but it would also drive your writers mad.
I guess the funny thing is you could almost treat it like the MCU treated Thor, where maybe they start off sounding more old-timey when they speak, but by virtue of exposure to more modern talk, their way of talking kind of shifts.
Or worse yet, 19th century Cockney.
Although the irony is you could probably pull someone from the 80s at this point and it would technically be period, so...
Oh, God. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
The 80s is almost 50 years ago.
Yep.
Shit.
I mean, shit. They did a period piece in 1963 and 1983, and it's twice that gap now.
Thank you for making me feel old. I was alive in the 80s. I was a child of the 80s.
I was alive for a little bit of the 80s.
Get off my lawn!
I think that's all we have to say about Millie Gibson and Ruby Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, she has some acting. She looks nice. Apparently, there might be some acting chemistry between the two actors, but we're really going to have to see whether she's going to be a companion of note or a non-existent. Just toss her on the pile companion. In other news, David Tennant is a dick. Especially towards his son, Ty Tennant, who is in acting now and has a role in House of the Dragon. You know, that show that also has Matt Smith. But, of course, because it's part of that universe, the Game of Thrones universe, they have, you know, signing conventions, that kind of stuff. The same stuff Doctor Who has. And so when Ty appeared at a local signing, David Tennant had to come out and pull the he's not that. What is it? He's not that great.
He's not
sign?
that special.
He's not that special.
He's not that special.
Which, for those who don't know, is the exact phrasing of the signs that Peter Davison likes to pull out whenever David Tennant is at his signing.
So, yes, this is apparently a family tradition, as, of course, David Tennant is Peter Davidson's son-in-law, and Ty is David's stepson, although he doesn't.
Adopted son.
Yeah, adopted son. So now, all we really need is Peter Davidson to go to a classic Doctor signing and have Ty show up with a sign that says he's not that special, and the circle will be complete.
Not gonna lie, this is my first time ever seeing Tennant, and I swear to God, he looks like he could play, like, if you dubbed his voice over, it almost looks like he could play Romana.
No.
The feedback I usually see is you would think
Similar hair anyway.
If you looked at Tennant, you would not guess that he shared no blood with David.
Yeah, that is quite true.
He looks like his biological son.
That's not the first time I've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Gabriel Iglesias' son looks just like Gabriel Iglesias. And yeah, that's his adopted son too.
Right.
I don't. Does this article actually have what Ty thinks of this?
It doesn't. Not it. It kind of guesses that that Ty appreciates the extra attention brought from it. I think there's a little bit of that and a little bit of, oh God, Dad, you're embarrassing me.
Of course there is.
Yeah.
Like that's what the look on his face says to me in the pictures from it.
They say, Dad, jeez, yeah. But yeah, so this is now a thing. So does that mean that if Ty gets old enough to adopt a son, and he goes into acting and get a role, does Ty get to be the one holding the sign? Is this just going to happen throughout time?
Well, Ty might have to become a doctor first.
Well, we have been saying that, David Tennant and Georgia have been working on the ultimate doctor eugenics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Either that, or they need to have a daughter that can marry like Sean Pertwee's son, who then marries a daughter in Patrick Troughton's line, and we just keep mingling the bloodlines until we get the Quizarts Hatterack of Doctor Who. It's the ultimate doctor. Oh. Anyway, that takes us down to Big Finish news. And there's only one new release this week. It shortly after our last podcast. And that's Unit Nemesis Objective Earth, which is the 5th of the Unit Chronicles, with Gemma Redgrave and Ingrid Oliver, of course. And that's it for news.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to Geek Talk.
Yep, so...
Or brings one of us to Geek Talk.
Yeah, but... probably a couple of weeks ago now, I think. I got around to finally watching a horror movie called The Blood on Satan's Claw. Which I mainly felt that I had to cover it on Geek Talk at some point by virtue of the fact that among the cast are Wendy Padbury, who played Zoe, Anthony Ainley, who played the Master, and one that I didn't catch because I haven't seen the movies and because she's uncredited, is Roberta Tovey, who played Susan in the Peter Cushing movies. So it's like, oh, that's kind of perfect to talk about in this. But yeah,
There's only so many actors in the British Isles.
Yeah. But of course, the funny thing is I missed the opening credits because I was off doing. I was like sorting out something to eat or something like that while the opening credits were going. So some of that casting completely caught me off guard. Like Anthony Ainley was easy to spot, even though at first I was like, I know you from somewhere, and then it clicked. Oh, it's Anthony Ainley. Like I think it was like, wait, is that Anthony Ainley? Oh, it is. I guess I'm too used to him with the goatee, so him with no either fake or legitimate facial hair was very like, oh. And the interesting thing is this is several years after Wendy Padbury played Zoe, but she actually looks kind of younger, so I don't know, maybe it's just the difference between the quality of late 60s Doctor Who filming capabilities and just the quality we've got it in, and like this, that I don't know, maybe she was just able to, with how they present her in this movie, she's able to pull off looking younger. I feel like she's playing younger than she is in this, but yeah, it is a good movie. It's very like I think like the only reason I found out about this is because it was in it came up in a documentary about folk horror movies. And the idea of the premise, like, it's just like some weird shit starts going on in some 18th century village out in the, like, a very rural village, and just like essentially a cult springs up.
Does that mean it's not a Killer Santa movie?
No.
Oh, from the title, I was hoping it was a Killer Santa movie.
But yeah, no, it's hard to really go into it much without giving it away. But yeah, essentially like some weird shit gets found and like this cult kind of springs up around this entity. It's kind of like what people would maybe assume the Wicker Man actually is like, compared to how that movie for the most part plays out before the twist at the end. Because there's like quite a few people end up dead in this movie. But yeah, and it's like, you know, very like one of the people that ends up helping to stop all this shit is someone who was like very speculative of any of this being real, and just everyone's just suddenly, you know, losing their mind for no reason or something. I don't think there's ever any proper explanation of what's going on properly, given like what triggered all of this, but yeah. In any case, I think it's a pretty good movie. It is definitely worth checking out. I think I've watched it on Tubi. I think it was like generally one of those sort of services where it's free, and you just have to like sit through maybe an ad break or two. So it should be easy to find.
Getting to watch Anthony Ainley not playing the Master, which once he was cast in that role became a rarity. I don't know if you ever heard that about Anthony Ainley, but he fell in love with the role of the Master, and even, you know, between things he would answer the phone, "This is the Master." Yeah. He apparently Colin Baker, I think, said he was as scary off camera as on.
Yeah, by contrast, in this he plays a priest who isn't dodgy. So,
which is a rarity for him.
Yeah, which I don't know if I'd be able to look at Anthony Ainley's face for the whole movie and not be like, okay, well, he'll turn any second.
And finally, you've stepped into my plan.
Of course, now, like, the thing that occurred to me when I realized it was him was like, was this before or after the demons? Because that would have been Delgado posing as a priest.
This was 1971. It was before.
Right.
So,
it wasn't until 1971 that the role of the master was created.
Right. So yeah, that's kind of funny. He beat Delgado to playing a priest, sort of. Unless Delgado had played a priest in something else. And even then, that was the master posing as well. But still. In any case, that's all about I got for that one. But it's definitely worth checking out. Like, don't go into it expecting something the quality of The Wicker Man, but it's still fun. In any case, from that we move on to a modern film that I saw after we streamed last week. One Piece film Red. Now, I'm not up to date with One Piece in the slightest. So a lot of the supporting cast went right over my head. I recognized maybe like 4 characters, I think. But otherwise, it was a good movie. I really got into it. Of course, the funny thing was this was also the first time I'd ever heard the Japanese voice cast in any respect, I think. Because I'm pretty sure what little I have seen of One Piece, I've only ever seen in English.
Let us know in the comments which is better, the sub or the dub.
Oh, let's not open that can of fish, please.
Although
engagement. We need engagement in the comments.
Yes. But whole forums have gone down in flames over that topic, Bill. I know, because I've been in those flame wars. I'm a veteran. And those wars do something to you, man. You don't come out right afterwards.
I will say I was told after the fact that apparently this is one of those cases where the spoken dialogue was dubbed, but the songs were not. Because this is kind of a musical in the sense that the character that the movie revolves around is a singer. And part of her, like, sort of magic ability thing is through singing. So she sings a lot. And yeah, even though I was watching this in Japanese, I was told that in English they just did not bother dubbing the songs at all. Which is probably for the best, because the odd time I have seen songs get dubbed, because the song was written... Because the song was written with it with Japanese in mind, English dialogue doesn't really work with the flow of the song necessarily. As
an anime fan, yes, I don't know if that's news to the people, the 5 people listening, but I was an anime fan at one point. Less so now than I was 5-10 years ago. Most songs suck. The only time I've ever heard a dub song being the same, as good, or better than quality was from the original Bubblegum Crisis OAVs way back in the late 80s.
I feel like a lot of modern anime gets around that by having the song written in half English, half Japanese to start with.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
not
not a half. Maybe that's exaggerating, but some at least.
the problem is in Japan, voice seiyuu also happen to be usually musicians.
Hmm.
Take for example Megumi Hayashibara, who voices just about everything under the sun. Um, Started as girl type Ranma, became Rei Ayanami, became Lena Inverse, and like half a dozen Pokemon. Do I need to go on there? But she also sings, and so when the anime says, "Oh yeah, this character's musical, we're going to need you to sing a few songs," that's within their range. American voice actors aren't singers.
Right.
Hmm.
Even
It's
even
not
My
as
Little
not by
Pony, there's
standard. Yeah.
even in My Little Pony, which was pretty much a musical, right? There's a song in many episodes. They had a separate singing cast from the regular acting cast.
Mm-hmm. And anime usually couldn't afford to do that. So, in one very famous case, they had to get where the actress was also a singer. They had to get her drunk in order to sing the songs. And that was Reba West, who played Lin Minmay in the '80s anime Robotech.
But yeah, when you were saying it usually sucks, I thought you were going to go with the fact that how hard it is to take a song that sounds good in one language and rewrite it into another language and still have it sound
No,
good. But
no, there's actual software that'll do that. It's called WordFit.
ah,
They probably have better versions than
Hmm.
WordFit now, but that was
Hmm.
the name of the stuff in the '90s that they used for it.
Hmm.
And the song no longer is about the same thing, or it's close but not exact.
Hmm.
Um, for instance, the opening song of Ranma One Half translated to "Don't Make Me a Shrew," and they changed it in the American dub to "Don't Make Me Wild Like You."
mm,
So it almost goes reverse, but they were able to get the lyrics to fit the notes and the beat. Um, so there's whole software that can do that. The problem is that if you're using your voice actors, they're not musically trained.
Hmm.
Whereas the Japanese casts are usually doing concert tours. I mean, case closed, Detective Conan. The voice of Conan um, is the main singer of the band Two Mix. So, yeah, this stuff happens, and they usually have their own huge musical careers.
as educational as this has been, we've gotten off topic.
I will say, to bring that back slightly, a hilarious thing I just noticed by looking the movie up is that apparently in the Japanese voice cast, the singing voice for the character who does all the songs is someone else, despite the fact that the voice actress who does the dialogue is apparently a singer as well. So I think it was seemingly it's like they went with a popular singer in Japan for the music, and then another actress for the voice.
Well, it could also be that while she's a singer, she didn't have the range needed for that particular
Possibly,
bit.
because there's a lot of difference. There's like some songs are very typical J-pop sort of stuff, but then it goes into very metal type songs once or twice and very loud. So it's like, yeah. If it was I could see it being a matter of just possibly didn't have the range for the different types of songs that were done.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, apparently the English voice actress is a singer and apparently is known for doing covers of anime songs and in some cases reworking them into English.
I have a few of her American remixes on my YouTube faves. Yeah, Lee and Lai, yeah. I have like I think she did one the theme to One Punch Man at one point, and I think I had that in my list. So it's so they just tried to get through with Amanda Lee. But again, most of the songs she sings are J-poppy opening theme stuff, so
yeah. Well, again, with English, they just... And I think that's just a thing lately in dub stuff, where it's like, they just won't bother dubbing the songs. Probably because it's cheaper, because then they don't have to they don't have to rewrite the song in English. They don't have to get the songs to be re-performed in English. It's probably just slightly cheap. If this was something like Pokemon, they would probably bother to do that, but something like One Piece, which is more niche, they can get away with it.
Yeah, Pokemon has big money behind it. One Piece, not so much. And I'm not talking about the production, I'm talking about the American redub.
Yeah.
One Piece.
We've talked about Pokemon's budget. Now we're definitely going to get angry comments about glitchy gameplay in the comments.
I'm actually looking at the English voice cast for this, and I've met half of these people. Do you remember I was part of the convention. A few of them were at Geek. I think like Sonny Strait, Eric Vale, yeah. It's like, I know these people. Oh, right, they're the regular One Piece voice actor. Right.
Because the funny thing is I'm pretty sure Sonny Strait, who does Usopp, is mostly known for doing Krillin in DBZ, and I'm pretty sure his Usopp voice is very similar.
Wouldn't be surprised.
So,
any final thoughts on this before we go on to the summary?
Yeah, pretty much just... I would say, even if you're like me and you've seen Jackal One Piece, so long as you are okay with all of the songs in it, it is... I feel like it's worth going... Well, I'd say going to see. I doubt it's necessarily in cinemas anymore. But even if not, it'll probably be on Crunchyroll at some point. So yeah, just finding it through there or however else. I definitely think it's worth checking out.
Which Crunchyroll, I think, is now just part of the Funimation website in the US, I think.
It's actually kind of the reverse. They've seemingly rolled... Like, Crunchyroll was the logo I saw in front of this movie instead of Funimation.
They're still separate. They're just paying the same company money.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what I had heard was either wrong or it was before they came up with the final deal. Then
it's anything new goes to Crunchyroll. Funimation's service only gets updates on stuff that was already airing, basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Funimation only deals with stuff that's out on like DVD equivalent. So usually, have been out for about a year, 3 months to a year. Whereas Crunchyroll, it's like next day kind of thing. I would just like to say one thing. I'm still absolutely shocked that they're still making One Piece stuff at this point.
Apparently, it is gearing up to finally end in the next couple of years, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything on the quality of One Piece. I'm just commenting on how long it's run. There are 2 animes that have run for decades now, and that's One Piece and Detective Conan. They each have over 1,000 episodes. And, it's like reading the old comic pages and looking at something like Garfield and going, shouldn't this be done by now? Anyway, summary.
Yep.
How fast do you want me to do this?
As fast as you'd like. I've got a stopwatch if you want a countdown.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
While on the job, Gwen gets bitten by a shape-shifting alien and wakes up the next day pregnant. Unfortunately, it's the day of her wedding, and despite everyone else telling her no, she insists on going through with it. Everybody shows up. It all goes to hell in a handbasket when the maid of the shapeshifter shows up to basically take the child from Gwen's stomach by force. She keeps changing shape. Torchwood shows up, eventually shoots her down, and they're basically forced to use the dimensional scanner thing to forcibly abort the child in Gwen. And then they retcon everybody so they all forget. The end.
46 seconds, 46.3 seconds.
I'm sorry, this one was freaking predictable.
Fair enough.
All right.
Although I did kind of wonder at the end if they were going to do like Doctor Who, they would have like extracted the egg and given it to the mate instead of destroying it.
Yeah, no, these were just nasty. Or like weevils, but worse. Okay. So, what we liked about the episode, and Bill, you're up first.
All right, so I'm going to say the guest cast in the sense that there were quite a few members of the guest cast, right? We had basically 4 members of each side that were memorable, had distinct characters, had distinct roles in the story. They weren't like, oh my god, I can't wait to see them back type of characters. But for the role that they played, I think they fit well into the story as it was.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the names and just seeing where they're from. Neris Hughes played Reese's mom, and she apparently is a Welsh actor from a TV series, The Liverbirds. Sharon Morgan was Gwen's mom, also a Welsh actress. She has received 3 BAFTAs. So, good there. Gwen's dad is one of those people that appears in like 1,000 shows, but never really, substantial, always the bit actor.
Right.
He does come back actually playing the same character in Miracle Day.
Oh.
Interesting. I did not realize that.
And apparently was was apparently in Boomtown as Mr. Cleaver.
I don't even remember that. It must have been a one-scene actor.
Probably.
But even frickin' Banana Boat, is his actor is a BAFTA winner. If you can believe that.
Huh. Apparently, God, what was it? Was it the... Yeah, Gwen's dad was also in Classic Who in Remembrance of the Daleks. As Martin. So... Huh.
Trying to remember that role. That was probably the schoolmaster, maybe?
Caretaker, it looks like.
Yeah, the caretaker. No, that was the headmaster. That was Michael Sheard. I don't know who Martin was.
No, he was the one who gave the doctor the coffin, or like the person the doctor spoke to get the hand of Omega.
Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah. I actually lost that in this list because it's this list on what he's acted in is huge. So this is, he's a keystone actor. He's a, character. He's not famous, but he's one of the guys that, we need a guy to fill this role. Well, I know just the guy. Let us call him up,
So, like, it would be the equivalent of, like, if it were an American show, picking, like, a well-known sitcom bit actor who is never the star of the show, but seems to appear in every show, sort of deal.
Yeah. That kind of thing. And, you'll never get rich doing that, but you earn yourself a decent paycheck.
Right.
One of those things where if you prefer to not be in the headlines in that, then it's a good living.
Mm-hmm. Colette Brown. She hasn't won any awards, but she's been in a few things. And it's hard to tell on some of these other people because they don't have wiki pages.
Yeah.
So they're non-entities. But yeah, the fact that those were the major characters, the Coopers, the Williams, Banana Boat, I think, and that they got, either career bit actors or BAFTA actors to work it out really probably improve the quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Alex?
Honestly, primarily the Gwen and Reese stuff. Just like the through line of them is pretty much what carries this. And at least to me is what stops this from, like, this is one of those things where, like, this is the Torchwood equivalent of, even though this wasn't written by RTD, this feels very RTD in the sense of emotion over story kind of a thing, because the story is very, as far as this goes.
Summarized it in under a minute.
Yeah. So it's a lot of the characters and the emotion driving you forward. And it feels like that definitely, especially the Gwen Reese stuff pulls it forward for me.
Yeah, and I'm going to tag on to that as my favorite thing. It's the fact that the will they, won't they between Gwen and Reese is finally done. Because, for the last, 2 seasons, it's like, do I stay with the safe Reese? Or do I go for the unknown with Jack?
And all the Owen
And
stuff.
she's been... No, that was the sidetrack.
Right.
Because it seemed for a while there, the Gwen's big question is Jack really interested in me or not? Or how can I tell?
Yeah.
And, if she discovered he was, then she might have dropped Reese and done this. But, no, we finally know she's married Reese. That's done.
I mean, hell yeah, we actually open on, I'm assuming it's something from probably near the end of Adrift, which is the episode between what we covered last week and this. Which I think, pretty sure that is the episode where Reese finds everything out. And yeah, it's a matter of that is where she's like, okay, yeah, I'm sticking with Reese. And this is just kind of the follow through of, yes, she absolutely is sticking with Reese.
All right, so what did you like the least, Bill?
Any objections to taking the low-hanging fruit?
Yes, because I'm the one that brought that up.
I mean, it was already literally written on my sheet, but I do have a backup. Okay, so for my backup then, I will go with the whole Tosh and Owen plot with this scene because plot with this episode because it just I don't know we need to be reminded how sad Tasha's life is every single episode. It never goes anywhere. Never
It
going
does
to go anywhere.
It goes somewhere.
I mean, other than an explosion.
Okay, that's where it goes.
Yeah. So there's no point continuously bringing it up, and it just it dilutes what there is of Tasha's character because we get sad Tosh every episode, but we get smart Tosh twice a season, and it just doesn't need to be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alex?
It's funny because it's a matter of figuring, is there an overall thing that bugs me enough to go with rather than scenes which are easy to jump to. But it's not really a scene, so I'll count it. The fact that one guy's death, sort of just happens and then never comes up again. It feels like it just gets completely forgotten about by the story. So it's well, why did he even die then? Or at least, it feels weird that this is someone in their life that they care about, at least enough to invite to their wedding. But then, it never comes up again to the point that it's this might as well have just been a random, because what does this serve in the greater purpose of the story? To just have, I guess we probably needed a kill, but not really. It feels completely superfluous.
Right. So my argument, or my least favorite thing that I wouldn't let Bill choose, is that the whole alien supernatural pregnancy bit
Mm,
has been done to death. It is its
yeah.
own trope.
It's
And I
past
mean,
trope to cliche territory.
I was,
Even when
I
this
was,
came out.
Yeah.
oh yeah. I mean, I was back and was like, they did this all the way back in Star Trek: The Next Generation,
Mm.
and Bill was like, well, technically, it went all the way back to Alien, and I'm like, I think we can probably find some ones before that too.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, what's it called again? Village of the Damned has a similar thing where all these women mysteriously get impregnated at the same time. Remotely, seemingly. I forget if the thing is I forget if they downplay the alienness of it, but yeah, like in the story that's from, because that's an adaptation of a book that is like a thing, and that was from like the 60s, I think, the movie. There was a version of it done in the 90s. But yeah. There you go. 1960. And it was based on a book from the late 50s.
Yeah, we were talking before the podcast, just listing examples of when this had happened. We were like, Angel about half a dozen times, Red Dwarf.
Hmm. In the show,
Yeah, it's
it's not aliens, but in the show Round the Twist, technically this happens once with one of the male characters.
Hell, I think this may have happened on Lost in Space once.
And then, of course, in hindsight, and then Doctor Who goes on to do it later with Amy. Kind of, in that she didn't realize she was pregnant.
Yeah, although at least at that point it wasn't. It was Rory was the father.
Yeah.
And not an alien or a demon.
But yeah, they still did mysterious pregnancy in a way, in that she didn't know.
They did. They did this, on the X-Files too, with Scully. So yeah, it's just one of those things that's like, we've seen this story before. Yeah, we know about this. Let's not go there again.
Yeah.
Oh, you've went there again.
The one thing I will give them credit for is that it was via a bite instead of assault. So, like, still a kind of assault, but
a
not...
bite is a form of assault.
You know what I mean. It wasn't... Torchwood didn't go all the way dark with it. Which, given some of the jokes Torchwood has made,
Yeah,
they
come
could
on,
have.
This is a flesh-eating alien, not Owen.
Yeah.
Flesh-eating aliens have standards.
Yeah. But like generally, that was like a thing where I was like, well, at least it was a bite and not sexual assault.
Yeah, that would have been a little turn off the episode kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like Gwen's been through enough. Can we thank God we didn't go there.
Which I guess brings us to favorite scenes.
Yep.
And I didn't write anything because I was trying to come up with a better scene, but I guess I'll go with the most obvious scene to me, and that is Reese with the chainsaw.
God damn it. That was mine because it's like Reese. I was gonna say Reese basically goes all Ash Williams.
Mm-hmm. Which is fitting considering I used an Army of Darkness clip for the opening, and it was the exact same scene.
And Jack does, after blowing it up, blowing the alien up, say like, I'm liking the Evil Dead look on you, Reese. It suits you.
Yeah, right.
And I heard that, and I'm just like, perfect.
After using an alien boomstick.
Which, by the way, that was totally a Men in Black moment to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, our guns aren't working on it. Well, we got to go get a bigger gun.
Little cricket.
Just imagine Jack Harkness played by Tommy Lee Jones. Okay. So what's your favorite scene, Alex?
Just because it hammers home the fact that we're diverting away from any potential interest she has in anyone else. Just the scene when Gwen has called Reese to her to reveal the pregnancy and just hammers into it like, hello, I'm trying to get through to you. All I want to do today is get married to you. Like, just just like putting all the emphasis on that. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what else is going on. We're getting married today.
Yeah, at the same point, for me, it's like, oh my God, she's lost all common sense.
Yeah.
She wanted to get this plot over with just as much as you did. But yeah, I would think letting all my friends and family think that I'd become pregnant and then having to explain losing it after the fact would be a bit of a reason to postpone.
Yeah. Because it is funny to that point that she doesn't even bring up, oh, we can just retcon them all. Like, it comes up at the end of the episode, but Gwen doesn't even bring it up as an option.
Gwen's not quite that far gone that it's her first
right,
choice.
Yeah.
Whereas Jack is.
Yeah.
But, like, you can see even the look on Reese's face and when that happens. It's like, Gwen is far enough gone that she's just like, oh, yeah, you roofied all of the guests and erased their memories. That's fine. That's something to laugh at. And Reese is like, he doesn't know if he should accept it or be completely horrified.
He's not been with them quite long enough yet.
Yeah.
That he gets the screw it mentality.
Yeah.
All right, I guess I do have a backup favorite. And that is the whole Jack and Gwen scene where it's he's coming on to her.
The fake Jack.
The fake Jack, yes. And suddenly he changes to go attack, and she's ready because she realized, nope, not Jack. It just kind of, here's a little something for the Jack and Gwen shippers. No, it's not.
Right. Which is actually a really good segue into my least favorite scene.
Okay.
Because my least favorite scene was the previously on segment. because goddamn that whole like, oh, is Gwen gonna sleep with Jack? Like that whole plot is just, it was a bad idea. It was bad when they first started it. It never got any better. And here they're reminding us of it, and I'm when we want let Gwen end up with Reese. Fuck it. Jack has his own thing going on. We don't need this whole, oh yeah, but are Jack and Gwen going to get together? Because no, they're not. It's obvious that they're not. Stop trying to pretend that they are.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, this was a dangling thread that we're closing.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that on the previous. It's like, yeah, we're closing this now. The answer's no, go away. All right, Alex, your least favorites.
I was gonna go with something else, but instead, I will go with the bridesmaids, the women that were at a hen's night, finding out that she's pregnant, and like eventually coming to terms with it, and like just being like, as kind of funny as a line is like, wow, we must have been blackout drunk if we never noticed that. It also is like, of all the people who would be questioning it the most and like continuously questioning it, you think it would be the people who saw her literally the night before.
Right.
And like, they clearly were not like drunk enough to be slurring their words. So like,
And wasn't Gwen drinking with them the whole time?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Or at least, even if she
Not
was,
to-
maybe,
not-
yeah, not to that extent, but like, she was definitely having
She
a couple.
definitely sounded like she had a bit of a buzz going on.
Well, I think it was more like the effects of the bite.
Yeah.
Because she was like
think she
saying
was a
she had
little
a
out of-
temperature or something.
Ah,
She was a little out of it from the bite. I think she may have had a drink.
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. So it's not like they saw her pounding down shots,
Yeah.
and then we're like,
No.
oh, but she was pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And it didn't look like it was shots that it had. It looked like it was a fruity drink of some kind. Well, no, that probably had multiple alcohols in it, but some kind of like rum drink or something.
Right.
All right, so we're down to my least favorite scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Trying to think. Do I have a least favorite? I think Reese using the device to get the egg out of Gwen. I mean, he's had zero practice, and we know that thing is touchy, and he manages to do it in like the second try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely iffy about that scene because they didn't explain, like, they didn't say Owen recalibrated it or anything. They said Owen had been practicing on it, and I thought that was actually a really nice bit of properly using continuity. But yeah, having Reese do it is a bit questionable.
Yeah. It was that he told him how to use it, but obviously, you know, Reese still obviously hadn't had time to practice with it.
Right. And I mean, even like the first time Owen used it did not exactly go well.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't really expect this from a Doctor Who property, but like it would be interesting in certain shows to see like, okay, the fallout from this is that Reese ended up like cutting off Gwen's leg, and they had deal with her becoming becoming disabled and living with that over the next season. But I don't think Torchwood or Doctor Who would do that. Maybe a comic book, maybe a comic book or a novel would do that, but not a show like this.
I mean, in a way, a consequence that you could maybe have had is it maybe could have made us sterile so they could never have kids. But I'm pretty sure it's
it'd be a logical consequence, but I'd really rather not.
Oh, they didn't, because I'm pretty sure it's implied in Jack's appearance in was it Resurrection? No, not Resurrection. Fucking hell, what is it?
Revelation
of the Daleks. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's implied that Gwen has kids. So. Granted, could have adopted, but, this is media, probably not.
Yeah. All right, so are we ready for final thoughts?
Yeah, I guess so. So watching this episode, there were times I was like, all right, this is kind of normal. But the more I think about it, or the more it just annoyed me. It started off with a tired old trend, and as much as some moments were were well written,
Old is right. Try biblically old.
Yeah, true. They do mention Jesus. So yeah, the episode starts on a very low note because of that, and even though there are some good moments, it doesn't really dig itself all the way out of that hole. It was really easy for me to come up with multiple least favorite things about the episode, multiple least favorite scenes, and then I sat there looking at the blank good aspect of the episode and favorite scene, trying to come up with anything I could say, and that's always an indication that an episode is not going in a great direction. Ultimately, I think there were some good scenes, but even that was not we saw the summary took 45 seconds. It was not a complicated episode, and it didn't have the chance to really do something unique with its plot. And that's about it for my thoughts.
All right. Alex?
I feel like this is one where the cliche plot is offset somewhat by the acting. Like, the acting is absolutely what carries this compared to the plot. I had seen this before, but not for like a couple of years. And then starting it up again was very, yes, that old chestnut. And just being like, I mean, I forgot how she got impregnated, so the fact that it was a bite was like, oh, okay. But yeah, this is definitely one where it's mainly carried a lot. Yeah, just like, again, it's the main reason to watch this is just that we finally get, the final nail in the coffin. Yes, Gwen and Reese are together forever. Unless they'd ever decided to kill Reese off, which I probably would have been pissed about that if they tried to. But
might have happened if they had the season 3 they wanted, but.
Yeah.
One of these seasons is eventually going to be Torchwood. Everybody dies.
Probably.
Except Jack.
But yeah, it's funny. Like, as much as the trope bugs the shit out of me. It really is one of those things where it's brought up somewhat, not a lot. Don't think this episode is great by any stretch of the imagination. But like, I'm willing to overlook certain things to a point, not completely disregard them, but at least somewhat look past them. Just because the performances carry it and get it across. So like, as I was saying before, it's very RTD in that way of like, it's more about the emotional core of the story rather than the actual plot. So it's very actor dependent. But for that,
the emotional core of non-consensual pregnancy.
Well, I can. I mean, just like recent Gwen. But yeah, it's you know.
Although at least they offered her free healthcare, which is a fantasy
Yeah.
for those of us in the States.
Yeah, like it's very. It's almost like it kind of says something when that is very passé in Torchwood, because series 1 just does so much worse that by comparison, this is very, oh, okay. And like, I mean, if I was watching this after Adrift, this would be like, well, this is very light, but just because Adrift is so dark, that it's like, oh, non-consensual pregnancy via a bite. That's pretty tame by comparison to what we just witnessed. But yeah, like, there's still some of that Torchwood being Torchwood at its worst, but the actors bring it up more, if anything.
All right, you done?
Yep.
All right. So the basic premise, in my opinion, the basic premise is old, stale, and moldy. And the whole thing is very lightly written, so there's not a lot of a plot. The acting's good, but you've got shoddy concepts, shoddy writing. Yeah, it's not going to get more than a from me. Not my favorite Torchwood. All right, let's go to ratings.
All right, I think I'm giving this a 2.5.
All right. Alex?
Alex is going to be the high one.
See, it's the funny thing, because I was considering another score, and I know I'll be being generous anyway. For God, it really is a matter of, do I prefer this to A Day in the Death? You know what? For all the positives there is still that goddamn cliche of a story. I think I can only give this a 3. Which is a full point lower than I was considering.
And I'm going to basement dwell this with a 2. I'm sorry, that cliche was just immediately made me lose interest in the story. Because, like I said, I have seen it so many times. Mm-hmm. And that will average out to a 2.5, making Bill correct. God damn it.
And this is a full point lower than last week.
Mm-hmm. Putting us Why can't I see tabs? Hello, tabs.
Looks like it would
Bill,
be.
I cannot.
Seems like it would be at 411.
Yeah, I just suddenly can't get tabs on my view here.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm gonna have guess that.
Might be might be a bandwidth issue.
Quite possibly, or I've got too many tabs open. Let me kill. Because I still had all the news articles open. I usually don't.
Got you. We're at the stage of looking at what it's on par with.
Yeah.
So the only spin-off title that that has the same score as Canine Fear itself. It's not as good as Torchwood Greek Sparing Gifts or Torchwood Combat. It's better than Torchwood Day One, which I think is the one we were referencing with the Owen scene, and better than Sarah Jane Adventures Mona Lisa's Revenge.
Okay. And yeah, I just got my tabs back. I found my problem. My window was actually open larger than my screen.
Gotcha. I've been in that position.
Let's see. Yeah, I agree. And I'm getting the exact number to make sure. It would be the bottom of that. Yep, 411 out of 430. The Basement Dweller. That is all we'll have to say about Something Borrowed.
So let us know in the comments what you thought of this week's episode if you've watched it. And since you've listened this far, don't forget to like the video, subscribe on YouTube to get our exports every week, or follow us on Twitch to get notified when we stream.
All right, so next week we are going to finish our Torchwood for this season. Finally, as we are finally getting down to the end of stuff. We are going to finish up with Torchwood, from Out of the Rain, or is it just Out of? No, from Out. Written by Peter J. Hammond and starring John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness, Miles as Gwen Cooper, Bern Gorman as Owen Harper, Naoko Mori as Toshiko Sato, and Gareth David-Lloyd as Ianto Jones. So we'll see you.
See you then.